Good morning. Flashback to 5 years ago. I was 21 and I was living my dream of living overseas in London. I was career-driven and full of energy and life. Looking back, I had been experiencing the vague symptoms of ovarian cancer. I had mild discomfort, which I assumed was period pain or bloating. One day, this pain significantly worsened and I saw my GP. She sent me off to hospital right away, and I was operated on that evening for appendicitis. I was keen to begin my recovery. Instead, I found myself in a whirlwind of worried looks and vague answers as I was sent for an MRI scan. I then received that dreaded phone call. Your results are in. Come in urgently. Oh, and do you have a loved one you can bring in with you? As my sister and I sat anxiously in that appointment, the words advanced ovarian cancer came crashing down around us. We learned that this insidious cancer had managed to spread significantly. It was well far gone from my ovaries. It had metastasized up throughout my abdomen, up against my liver and diaphragm, and also down to my small and large bowels. With great urgency, we started treatment in London. It was chemotherapy and surgery. We couldn't even consider fertility saving, as not only would this delay my treatment, but the hormones needed would have actually fueled the cancer further. Just like that, at 21 years old, there was no chance that I would ever have my own biological children. But the sad thing is, I couldn't even focus on that. I was fighting for my life. I fought with every bit of strength I had, enduring 5 rounds of chemotherapy, sending me bald, weak, and fragile, and a debilitating 11-hour surgery, which included a full hysterectomy and a permanent ileostomy stoma bag. The recovery was slow, and there were many setbacks. But I was grateful to be alive and to start rebuilding my life again. Although I was on maintenance treatment, the cancer still managed to come back, as ovarian cancer almost always does. I now had a scattering of tumors throughout my abdomen and my left lung. At this time, I returned home to Brisbane for a clinical trial and more surgery. It has now been 5 years of fighting this disease. I've been on 3 clinical trials, 3 different combinations of chemotherapy, 2 courses of radiation, 3 types of hormone therapy, and have had 6 surgeries, all in 5 years. And I still have ovarian cancer. Each of these painful and invasive treatments have bought me extra time with my family and friends, which I am so grateful for. However, the reality is there is no cure. I live with this cancer inside of me, and the best I can do is hope to slow it down from spreading further. Just before Christmas, I was faced with the news that my cancer was growing once again. And this time, it's become completely resistant to all existing treatment options. There's not a single drug on the PBS that can attack my cancer. I've got nothing to lose but my life. Thank you.
What a beautiful, gifted young speaker. Kristen, you're standing here, as I said, looking beautiful. How are you? How are you actually feeling at the moment?
I've actually recently started a clinical trial in the last couple of weeks, and I've been in the emergency department 5 times already this year, and it's exhausting. I'm on the verge of nausea, and I've taken a lot of pills this morning to be here. And it just means so much to be able to stand here in front of you all today and share my story and hope to make a difference in the world of ovarian cancer.
Sweetie, what motivated you to do this? I mean, were you a public speaker before you had ovarian cancer?
Not at all. I was a human resources professional. So what really made me passionate was the lack of awareness. I'd never heard much about ovarian cancer. I assumed that by having my annual pap smear and by having the HPV vaccines that I was covered for all gynecological cancers, but that's simply not the case. There is nothing for ovarian cancer in terms of screening or early detection. So I think just the lack of education made me really want to stand up and spread the word.
As you said, you're still unwell, downing anti-nausea tablets to actually be here. What do you hold in your mind to keep coming back to things like this? I mean, you've raised a lot of money, you've spoken publicly at home in Brisbane, and now here this morning in front of our national leaders. What drives you?
Yeah, obviously the very basic need of wanting to live, wanting to survive. Call me selfish, but I want to live past 26. I don't want this disease to end my life, and I'm grateful to have beaten the odds of 5 years, but I do want more. And when I'm not feeling up to it, or when I feel like giving up, I think of the many amazing women I've met along the way, and in particular, I'd like to just dedicate this day to two friends of mine, Rozaba and Elena, who were taken from this earth way too early. They've left their families behind, their communities, and we're just losing too many women to this disease. So even if I feel sick and tired, I stand up for them because they're no longer here to use their voice, and I owe it to my friends to raise awareness and funds for this disease because the outcomes are just not acceptable at the moment.
Thanks, Kristen.
And Jill, I just wanted to pass it back to you as well.
We should host a TV show, don't you think?
The Jill and Kristen show. You spoke earlier about the the unfairness that so many other cancers have received so much more funding than ovarian cancer, and they've received the results. What do you think needs to happen for us to build a teal army like the breast cancer movement?
Yeah, well, I think we need to live longer. And for us to live longer, that means we need better research. And to get the research, that means more money. It's a pretty straight line as far as I see it. So if we were able to muster that, we would be able to have teal finger buns, teal cream cakes, teal socks, not just ties and ribbons. We do deserve that. And I think it does, and that's where it does come down to our political leaders. I think we need a bigger share of the funding so that we can live longer lives. I'm not asking to live till I'm 100, but 26, 28, isn't that a fair call for a gorgeous young woman like Kristen? Thanks.
Thank you.